Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back. I just completed reading Fragment 2, or the last half of Fragment 2 in The Voice of Silence, written by H.P. Blavatsky, and I was enjoying reading it so much that I just decided to make another video back to back. Of course, I'll be posting this on a different day, but we're going to start the first half of Fragment 3, and this is titled The Seven Portals. And it's our longest fragment, but still we'll be breaking it up into two parts. This book is much shorter than I thought it would be. All right. Upadhyaya, the choice is made. And let me clarify what that is. Upadhyaya is a spiritual preceptor, a guru. The northern Buddhists choose these generally among the Naljor, saintly men, learned in, I don't even want to try to say, Gotrabu Nana and Nana Dasana Suddhi teachers of the secret wisdom. So that is the meaning of an upadhyaya. The choice is made. I thirst for wisdom. Now hast thou rent the veil before the secret path and taught the greater yana. And yana is a vehicle, thus Mahayana is the great vehicle, and Hinayana the lesser vehicle, the names for two schools of religious and philosophical learning in northern Buddhism. Thy servant here is ready for thy guidance. 'Tis well, Sravaka, and Sravaka, a listener or student who attends to the religious instructions, from the root sru. When from theory they go into practice or performance of asceticism, it's broken up, they become sramanas, exercisers from srama, action. As Hardy shows, the two appellations answer to, these are two Sanskrit words, or I'm sorry, they're in Greek, so I cannot read them at all, two different words of the Greeks. 'Tis well, Sravaka, prepare thyself, for thou wilt have to travel on alone. The teacher can but point the way. The path is one for all. The means to reach the goal must vary with the pilgrims. Which wilt thou choose, O thou of dauntless heart? The samtan of eye doctrine, fourfold dhyana, or thread thy way through paramitas, 6 in number, noble gates of virtue leading to bodhi and to prajna, 7th step of wisdom, and a samtan is Tibetan. It's the same as the Sanskrit dhyana, or the state of meditation of which there are 4 degrees, and aparimitas, the 6th transcendental virtues. For the priests, there are 10. The rugged path of fourfold dhyana winds on uphill. Thrice great is he who climbs the lofty top. The paramita heights are crossed by a still steeper path. Thou hast to fight thy way through portals 7, 7 strongholds held by the cruel, crafty powers, passions incarnate. Be of good cheer, disciple. Bear in mind the golden rule. Once thou hast passed the gate Stratapati and Stratapati, he who has entered the stream that leads to the nirvanic ocean. This name indicates the first path. The name of the second is the path of Sagridagamin, he who will receive birth only once more. The third is called Anagamin, he who will be reincarnated no more, unless he so desires in order to help mankind. The fourth path is known as that of Rahat or Arhat. This is the highest. An Arhat sees nirvana during his life. For him is no post-mortem state, but samadhi, during which he experiences all nirvanic bliss. And down here, there's a little asterisk next to nirvanic bliss. How little one can rely upon the Orientalists for the exact words and meaning is instanced in the case of 3 alleged authorities. Thus, the 4 names just explained are given by somebody by the name of R. Spence Hardy as Sowan, Sagradagami, Anagami, and Arya. And this is coming from somebody by the name of Reverend J. Edkins. They are given as Sratapani, Sardagama. Okay, let me try that again. Sagardagam and Anagaman, and 4 Arhan. Schlagina White again spells them differently, each moreover giving another and a new variation in the meaning of the terms. So what we just read for Stratapati, there's many terms and given in, I guess, written by what they're calling the Orientalists. He who the stream hath entered, so we'll just say that's Stratapati. Once thy foot hath pressed the bed of the nirvanic stream in this or any future life, thou hast but 7 other births before thee, O thou of adamantine will. Look on, what seest thou before thine eyes, O aspirant to godlike wisdom? The cloak of darkness is upon the deep of matter, within its folds I struggle. Beneath my gaze it deepens, Lord. It is dispelled beneath the waving of thy hand. A shadow moveth, creeping like the stretching serpent coils. It grows, swells out, and disappears in darkness. It is the shadow of thyself outside the path, cast on the darkness of thy sins. Ye Lord, I see the path, its foot in mire, its summits lost in glorious light nirvanic. And now I see the ever-narrowing portals on the hard and thorny way to Jnana, and that is knowledge, wisdom. Thou seest well, Lanu. These portals lead the aspirant across the waters on to the other shore. And on to the other shore, the meaning of this term another word for it is Antakarana, is the lower manas, the path of communication or communion between the personality and the higher manas or human soul. At death, it is destroyed as a path or medium of communication, and its remains survive in a form as the Kamarupa, the shell. And if you've read the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz or the 5th Agreement, they talk about the Antakarana. They talk about the teachers of the esoteric knowledge. Very much sounds a lot like what we're reading here. So he touches on that a bit in the introduction of his book in regards to how this information came about. Thou seest well. Oh, I already read that. Okay, so let's go down here. These portals lead the aspirant across the waters onto the other shore. Each portal hath a golden key that openeth its gate, and these keys are, number 1, Danya, the key of charity and love immortal. 2, Sila, the key of harmony in word and act, the key that counterbalances the cause and the effect, and leaves no further room for karmic action. 3, Shanti, patience sweet, that naught can ruffle. 4, Virag, indifference to pleasure and to pain, illusion conquered, truth alone perceived. 5, Virya, the dauntless energy that fights its way to the supernal truth, out of the mire of lies terrestrial. Dhyana, whose golden gate once opened leads the Naljor, or a saint or an adept, toward the realm of Sat eternal and its ceaseless contemplation. So again, we're talking about Sat, S-A-T, capitalized S. Sat is a part of a mantra that is said in when you're practicing Kundalini, whether it's yoga or meditation, you usually end and or start with Sat Nam, which means truth is my name, truth is my identity. And 7, Prajna, the key to which makes of a man a god, creating him a bodhisattva, son of the Dhyanis. Such to the portals are the golden keys. Before thou canst approach the last, O weaver of thy freedom, thou hast to master these paramitas of perfection, the virtues transcendental 6 and 10 in number, along the weary path. For, O disciple, before thou wert made fit to meet thy teacher face to face, thy master light to light, what wert thou told? Before thou canst approach the foremost gate, thou hast to learn to part thy body from thy mind, to dissipate the shadow, and to live in the eternal. For this thou hast to live and breathe in all, as all that thou perceivest breathes in thee, to feel thyself abiding in all things in self. Thou shalt not let thy senses make a playground of thy mind. Thou shalt not separate thy being from being and the rest, but merge the ocean in the drop, and the drop within the ocean. So shalt thou be in full accord with all that lives. Bear love to men as though they were thy brother pupils, disciples of one teacher, the sons of one sweet mother. Of teachers there are many, the master's soul is one, Alaya. And let's see what the master's soul is one, Alaya, stands for. That was number 8. The northern Buddhists and all the Chinamen, in fact, find in the deep roar of some of the great and sacred rivers the keynote of nature, hence the simile. It is a well-known fact in physical science as well as in occultism that the aggregate sound of nature, such as heard in the roar of great rivers, the sound produced by the waving tops of trees in large forests, or that of a city heard at a distance, is a definitive single tone of quite an appreciable pitch. This is shown by physicists and musicians. Thus, Professor Rice of Chinese music shows that the Chinese recognized the fact thousands of years ago by saying that the waters of the Hoang Ho rushing by intoned the kung, called the great tone, in Chinese music. And he shows this tone corresponding with the F, considered by modern physicists to be the actual tonic of nature. Professor B. Silliman mentions it too in his Principles of Physics, saying that this tone is held to be the middle F of the piano, which may therefore be considered the keynote of nature. Not sure how that associates. Of teachers there are many, the master soul is one, Alaya, the universal soul. Okay. Live in that master as its ray in thee. Live in thy fellows as they live in it. Before thou standest on the threshold of the path, before thou crossest the foremost gate, thou hast to merge the two into the one, and sacrifice the personal to self-impersonal, and thus destroy the path between the two, Antakarana. And the meaning of that particular one: the Bons or Dugpas, the sect of the Red Caps, are regarded as the most versed in sorcery. They inhabit Western and Little Tibet and Bhutan. They are all tantrikas. It is quite ridiculous to find Orientalists who have visited the borderlands of Tibet, such as Schlagentweit and others, confusing the rites and disgusting practices of these with the religious beliefs of the Eastern Lamas, the Yellow Caps, and their Nailors or holy men. The following is an instance. So that is what an Antakarana is. Thou hast to be prepared to answer Dharma, the stern law, whose voice will ask thee at thy initial step. Hast thou complied with all the rules, O thou of lofty hopes? Hast thou attuned thy heart and mind to the great mind and heart of all mankind? For as the sacred river's roaring voice, whereby all nature sounds are echoed back. There's an asterisk right there too. Dorji is the Sanskrit Vajra, a weapon or instrument in the hands of some gods. The Tibetan Dragshed, the Devas who protect men, and is regarded as having the same occult power of repelling evil influences by purifying the air as ozone in chemistry. It is also a mudra, a gesture and posture used in sitting for meditation. It is, in short, a symbol of power over invisible evil influences, whether as a posture or a talisman. The Bons or Dugpas, however, having appropriated the symbol, misuse it for purposes of black magic. With the yellow caps or galugpas, it is a symbol of power, as the cross is with Christians. While it is in no way more superstitious, with the Dugpas, it is like the double triangle reversed, the sign of sorcery. All right. So all nature sounds are echoed back. So somehow that correlates with what we just read. So must the heart of him who in the stream would enter thrill in response to every sigh and thought of all that lives and breathes. Disciples may be likened to the strings of the soul echoing Vinya, mankind, unto its sounding board, the hand that sweeps it to the tuneful breath of the great world soul. The string that fails to answer neath the master's touch in dulcet harmony with all the others breaks and is cast away. So the collective minds of Lanu Sravakas, they have to be attuned to the Upadhyaya's mind, one with the oversoul, or break away. Thus do the brothers of the shadow, the murderers of their souls, the dread Dad Dukba clan. And the Dad Dukba clan, Viraga, is that feeling of absolute indifference. This doesn't sound right. Yeah, that's glossary 3, number 11. Okay. Did we use the word viraga up further? Yeah, it matches. Feeling of absolute indifference to the objective universe, to pleasure and to pain. Disgust does not express its meaning, yet it is akin to it. Hast thou attuned thy being to humanity's great pain, O candidate for light? Thou hast, thou mayest enter. Yet, ere thou settest foot upon the dreary path of sorrow, 'tis well thou shouldst first learn the pitfalls on thy way. Armed with the key of charity, of love and tender mercy, thou art secure before the gate of Dana, the gate that standeth at the entrance of the path. Behold, O happy pilgrim, the portal that faceth thee is high and wide, seems easy of access. The road that leads therethrough is straight and smooth and green. 'Tis like a sunny glade in the dark forest depths, a spot on earth mirrored from Amitabha's paradise, or infinite light or infinite life. There, nightingales of hope and birds of radiant plumage sing perched in green bowers, chanting success to fearless pilgrims. They sing of Bodhisattva's virtues 5, the fivefold source of Bodhi power, and of the 7 steps in knowledge. Pass on, for thou hast brought the key, thou art secure. And to the second gate the way is verdant too, but it is steep and winds uphill, ye to its rocky top. Gray mists will overhang its rough and stony height, and all be dark beyond. As on he goes, the song of hope soundeth more feeble in the pilgrim's heart. The thrill of doubt is now upon him. His step less steady grows. His step less steady grows. Beware of this, O candidate. Beware of fear that spreadeth like the black and soundless wings of midnight bat. Between the moonlight of thy soul and thy great goal that loometh in the distance far away. Fear, O disciple, kills the will and stays all action. If lacking in the sila virtue, which is a moral conduct, the pilgrim trips and karmic pebbles bruise his feet along the rocky path. Be of sure foot, O candidate, in Shanti's essence bathe thy soul, and Shanti is patience, the enumeration of the golden keys. For now thou dost approach the portal of that name, the gate of fortitude and patience. Close not thine eyes, nor lose thy sight of Dorji. Mara's arrows ever smite the man who has not reached Viraga. And let me check and see what Dorji's, or what that phrase means here. Let me see. Cloud not lose sight of Dorji's Mara Viraga. Okay. So is that feeling of absolute, nope, reading the wrong one, the I, or feeling of one's personality, the I amness. Beware of trembling, neath the breath of fear the key of Shanti rusty grows. The rusty key refuseth to unlock. The more thou dost advance, the more thy feet pitfalls will meet. The path that leadeth on is lighted by one fire, the light of daring, burning in the heart. The more one dares, the more he shall obtain. The more he fears, the more that light shall pale, and that alone can guide. For as the lingering sunbeam that on the top of some tall mountain shines, is followed by black night, when out it fades, so is heart light. When out it goes, a dark and threatening shade will fall from thine own heart upon the path, and root thy feet in terror to the spot. Beware, disciple, of that lethal shade. No light that shines from spirit can dispel the darkness of the nether soul, unless all selfish thought has fled therefrom, and that the pilgrim saith, I have renounced this passing frame. I have destroyed the cause. The shadows cast can, as effects, no longer be. For now the last great fight, the final war between the higher and the lower self, hath taken place. Behold, the very battlefield is now engulfed in the great war, and is no more. But once that thou hast passed the gate of Shanti, step the third is taken. Thy body is thy slave. Now for the fourth prepare, the portal of temptations which do ensnare the inner man. Ere thou canst near that goal, before thine hand is lifted to appraise the fourth gate's latch, thou must have mustered all the mental changes in thyself, and slain the army of the thought sensations that, subtle and insidious, creep unasked within the soul's bright shrine. Okay, that's the first half of Fragment 3. So we're going to stop right there, and we'll finish the rest of this last fragment, and actually the end of the book, in our next video. Thank you so much for joining me. I love you all very much. Take care of yourself. Take care of those around you. Until I see you again. Bye-bye.